Now, it's one thing to celebrate the freedom where you have in a country, but it's also another thing where you might be celebrating freedom, but you're still not free yourself, free from a toxic person, free from the mental or the emotional abuse that happens by being stuck with a toxic person on a day to day basis. This aspect starts to rob you of your freedom in multiple ways. It robs you of your freedom mentally, of like thinking, wait a second, what is actually true? What is actually right? Am I wrong? Am I the bad person? He's saying I'm the bad person. He's saying I'm the abusive person. Like all these things get pushed on you and shows up that you have a lack of freedom, like physically wise. Like you don't have time to go to the gym. You don't have time to actually invest in yourself or to have a day that's for you because you're always constantly worrying about what the other person is going to think, about what the other person is going to do. You're not able to actually have freedom in your relationships of actually having friends or being able to be involved in family and in their lives because of the fact that the toxic person has been in your life so long that they keep you captive. They keep you stuck. Like a huge part of this is you might be at a place where you are free, but not completely free. Or you think, hey, I'm out of the relationship. I feel better about it. I have like freedom, but you still are struggling with the mental rumination, with the intrusive thoughts, with the things that are happening on a day to day basis that are still keeping you stuck, that are still pulling you back to that toxic person over and over and over again. This is pieces that we normally refer to as the trauma bond. Things that actually put you in a fog, the fear, the obligation, the guilt of being with a toxic person. And it doesn't let you actually see out to actually know what's actually true. And until we actually work on helping you rewire the story you believe, seeing where you are to where you want to go, you will always be stuck. You'll be stuck for a long period of time, even if you are, quote unquote, free. Free from a toxic person doesn't always indicate that you actually are experiencing true freedom because they might come back. They might try to insert themselves back into your life over and over and over again. You might get to the place where you're not mentally free, where you are stuck mentally and emotionally. How many of you have been at a place where you keep thinking about this person, where it's invading your every single day, where it's starting to make you triggered randomly about random things? You're like, I don't even know how to control these. They just happen. They just bubble up. It's affecting like your drive to actually get out of bed in the morning. It's affecting your like concentration when you're trying to work or when you're trying to show up in your business. Like it's affecting how you parent because something they do or say triggers you back to a moment that you had with the toxic person. Like, are you stuck in this place mentally? Like mentally stuck being like, how do I actually get out of this? The piece I want to be able to tell you and have you understand today is until we actually change the story you believe, the mindset, the thought process is actually going on, you'll always stay stuck ruminating. You'll always stay stuck mentally thinking about this person. You always stay emotionally stuck with this person over and over and over again because we haven't actually changed the thought process. And as a result, it's going to continue to go down. Your brain over a period of time is used to this. The neural pathways have been these grooves, these like hard grooves of like an empty waterbed of like, hey, every time I think this thought, always goes this way, always goes this way. Every time I see his car, always goes this way. Every time someone says this phrase, always goes this way, over and over and over again, because of the mental piece that you've already been put through where you're conditioned to think a certain way. You're conditioned to respond a certain way. What this comes down to is the story that you believe. Ultimately, you start to believe a story. Now, sometimes the story is based and is pushed upon you in different perspectives by different people. Okay. This could be growing up, your mom and your dad. Could be the family members, the people that you had around you, your friends. It could be your religious organizations. It could be the churches that you went to, the educational systems that you went through, like the previous partners that you've been in. All these different things start to tell you and push upon you a story. The question is, do you actually believe it or not? And then you get in with a toxic person, with a narcissist, and this person starts to push a new story, a new reality on you every single time. Well, you're not good enough without me. I'll just go cheat without you. Like, if you looked better, then I actually would want to be with you. Like, you start to do all these things that slowly ingrain in your mind. You start to think, wait a second, this is actually reality. This is actually truth when it's not. Then you start selling yourself a different story. I'm not good enough. No one's going to love me. I'm never going to find a relationship. What is he doing with the next supply? Maybe he's changed for her. Maybe it's better for her. Maybe this is actually working out this time. And all these things will start to permeate your thoughts, leaving you stuck in this mental aspect of going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and not actually getting free. That's the piece that I need you to understand. How long will you stay stuck? What we focus on is teaching you a formula, teaching you a system that you can actually apply to your everyday life to be able to get free, to be able to get unstuck from it. We center on, first off, going after the trigger. What is the trigger? That is the only thing we can start working on. What is the actual trigger? Well, this happened and I got triggered in this way. This happened, I had this response. This happened, my body responded this way. Okay, so we go after the trigger. Then when we talk about the trigger, we start diving under what is actually underneath it. What are the emotions I'm experiencing? What are the feelings that I'm experiencing? As we do this, when we break this down, it leads you to a place, to the story that you're actually telling yourself. If I had tried harder, then he wouldn't have cheated on me. If I would have looked better, then he would have loved me more. If I would have, and all these stories that invade your mind. And so you have to understand, like, here is the story. Then when you get to the place of understanding the story, we walk you through this process step by step of, okay, what are the actual facts? How do the facts prove or deny the statement that you just made? And as you start to walk down this step, you start to realize, wait a second, the story that I created needs to be shifted, needs to be changed, needs to be eradicated because it actually isn't true. And when you start to do this, you develop a new story to replace the old way of thinking. So when you get triggered, you're like, wait a second, I've actually done this. Let me go ahead and move through this. I've already thought through this. Let me go ahead and remind myself. Let me go ahead and move forward in this direction. Because until you rewire the story that you believe, you will always go back. You will always stay stuck. You will always be free, but not actually experience true freedom. Because mentally and emotionally, you will still stay stuck for a long period of time. If you're at the place where you're like, I want to be free, I just don't know how, check out the link in the bio, escapetoxicity.com. It's a 7-day challenge for $7 to help you understand what it actually looks like. When we talk about narcissism, reactive abuse, the fog that you're in, the fear, the obligation, the guilt, like all these different pieces, we need to actually break it down and show you this is step by step. We offer a step-by-step progression to help you start to see, to help you start to move forward. Because the only person that you can change and truly transform is yourself. You're right. I can't change my spouse, but I can change my direction. 100%. You can change the direction that you're going so it can actually maximize who you're actually called to be. The hard part is a lot of times people are not willing to change directions. They're content with staying stuck, even though they hate it. Okay? A big part of this is being able to help you rewire the story that you believe. Otherwise, it will keep you stuck.